The Spiritual Handyman, bringing spiritual tools to the hands of the people who need them. Sponsored by the Eagle Heart Foundation. The Eagle Heart Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that brings charitable contributions and educational enhancements to the people. So how can you be a part of the Spiritual Handyman and the Eagle Heart Foundation? The Triple Win Situation. This book was written by Granddaughter Crow, and half of the proceeds go to the Eagle Heart Foundation, which in turn sponsors the Spiritual Handyman. How to get it one? It's on Amazon and Kindle for only $9.99. So we are here to bring tools to you. Thank you so much, Spiritual Handyman. We believe in what you do.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Spiritual Handyman Show. It is great to have you with us today. And today's subject matter is something that is very near and dear to my heart. We are going to welcome the very talented Norma Hollis to the show with us today. And she has a superpower of helping people connect with their authenticity. And she's going to share with us what that means and why it's so important. She has decades of experience helping people reach into their authenticity and bring it out into their lives. She has helped spiritual leaders and authors and coaches, many other categories as well, consultants, lots of different people in her path have definitely been assisted by her knowledge and her experience. She also has created some systems, and they help you to assess and to accentuate and activate your authenticity. And she's going to share some of that with us. She is the go-to person in the field of authenticity. So Norma Hollis, welcome and take it away. Give us a little introduction about you.
Jason, thank you. It's great to be here with you. You know, I've been on this journey for, I guess, as long as I can remember. And it's been very exciting to watch life unfold. I started off as a young child with very clear direction that I had something to do in the world. I think we all kind of know that in one way or another. But that's what started my journey to authenticity. It was like a 40-year journey of really learning what it means to be authentic and being more authentic and finding my own authenticity. That was the motivation. They say we teach what we need to learn. So that's what I'm learning, how to be more authentic myself.
So you're still discovering that in some ways for you as well?
Without a doubt. You know, there's different levels of understanding of spirituality, of self-knowledge, self-awareness. And ideally, as we get older, we get closer to ourselves and more knowledgeable and more wisdom about ourselves. Not everyone does that. Some folks just get older. But the idea is to get older and to understand more. And the spiritual journey to me is the evolution of yourself, evolving, watching yourself evolve in light of all that's going around you. And just as you mature, seeing, oh, wow, I got through that. And wow, I'm still growing and still evolving. Absolutely.
It is amazing what we can actually survive, right?
Yes. Yes,
Could you share with me from your point of view and help all of us understand why is it that you feel authenticity is so important?
Well, it's not just that I feel that way. It is a societal view from many perspectives. If you look at research done by the Ivory Tower, Harvard, and other people, they tell you how important authenticity is. There's even one gentleman named Michael Drew, who is a literary agent, who has put out probably about 100 by now consecutive bestsellers. And his research over 3,000 years of human nature and human history shows that we have a pendulum that shifts, and every 40 years we change as humans. And right now we change from focusing on me to focusing on we. And right now it's a big focus on we, which will last until pretty much 2043, the end of the 40 years. So it's not just me saying, what I did is I responded to the energy saying that it's coming, so that when it got here, I had stuff prepared to deal with it. And that to me is part of what spirituality is, being connected with energies around you and outside of you, so that when life unfolds, you're right there evolving with it. You evolve to the point that you're evolving with the universe and with life. That's the level of spirituality that I think people strive for on a step-by-step basis. It takes time, step-by-step, to get there.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that insight. I mean, you're right. It is kind of a call from not just our society, but all of them. And so many people are looking for answers. And you had a lot of questions early on and some contact when you were pretty young. Will you help us understand how your journey began to unfold and how that progressed over the years?
Well, there's, I guess, three significant parts to my journey. The first one when I was 2 years old, actually, very, very young. And I remember being frustrated at that age. And my father tells the story about him teaching me my name. And he would say to me, "Your name is Norma. What's your name?" And I would always say, "My." He'd say, "No, not my name, your name. Your name is Norma." And I would always say mine. And his idea was, my daughter is just not very smart. And my idea is, this man doesn't understand me, because they say we all have purpose in the world, right? So I had, even at 2 years old, I had some recollection of being given an assignment, if you will. And I was trying to express to my father who they said I was, or whatever it was I remembered from my assignment. But I didn't have the language to do that. So all that came out was mine. And so that started my journey, because I figured people on this planet are not very smart, or they don't know much or something. And then when I was 8, I was troubled with an ear infection in my right ear. And they gave me antibiotics, which did not stop the infection. And the only way they could stop it was to put a solution on the inside of my ear that the doctor had to put in, and it felt like acid on the inside of my head. It was extremely painful. And that was followed up by 2 years of very severe ear aches. And the only way my ear would stop hurting, my parents, the doctors gave me pills and shots and drops, and nothing would stop it. And at one point, I even said, "Bring me a woman doctor, because the men doctors can't help me." And they did, and the woman couldn't help me either. But what stopped my ear from hurting was my grandfather, who was a Baptist minister, coming to me and saying that he could stop my ear from hurting if I would give my life to God. And I said, "Well, what does that mean?" He said, "God has something important for you to do to give you so much pain at a young age." And so I asked my grandfather if I could ask one thing of God. And he said, "Sure, what's that?" I said, "Can I ask God to give me the training for what I'm supposed to do by the time that I'm 30, so I could have a life of my own?" And my grandfather said he was sure God would grant that. He put his hand on my ear and prayed, and I went to sleep and never had that level of pain again. So obviously that was very impactful on me. So the authenticity of seeing the spiritual healing of my ear when man couldn't do it, and also the inauthenticity of my family members who could not understand that I needed help to deal with the level of pain that I had, and they really didn't understand that. And at that time of life, nobody went to therapy, because nobody's crazy, so you just deal with it. So having to be an 8 and 9-year-old child to deal with those experiences between the pain and the deep spiritual connection, I never have any help. And so that kind of led me to figure out authenticity. So by the time I was 28, I realized I had done everything that my parents had said do. I had the husband, the cars, the house, the job, all those things. And I was miserable. And I didn't know what to do with myself, because I didn't know who I was. So that's when the true journey started, the more conscious journey. The other journey was kind of more the unconscious, kind of being driven. Now I'm still being driven at 28, but I'm a little older. I understand a little bit more. But what I didn't understand was that where I was looking for Grandpa's prayers, that I would have my training by the age of 30, I didn't know that my training started around the age of 30. So that's so that's been my evolution for 30 years of really looking at human beings from personal, professional, and spiritual perspectives, and using my natural gifts and talents to understand, in understanding myself, to understand other people and help them learn how to understand themselves and understand their spirituality and their own evolution.
Would you agree, Norma, that when we start on a spiritual journey, that there is going to be a point where we have to go within and we've really got to get in touch with who we are? Would you say that that is an integral part of a spiritual journey?
I think that's the primary part of a spiritual journey. You know, the spirituality is really connecting with you, with yourself. It's because the spirit lives within. You're not connecting with some outside spirit. You might be aligning with an outside spirit, but the spiritual journey that you're on is understanding your own spirituality. You know, we're spirits having a human experience, but we're influenced to be humans having a spiritual experience because society influences us to be what society wants us to be to sustain society. And what our job is to sustain spirituality, especially our own spirituality, because the spirit that we are, as it evolves, it also evolves when it leaves this plane and goes to another one. So we want to help nurture it and evolve it as much as we possibly can while it's here, because that's going to help our long-term journey, the one that continues once we leave here.
You and I definitely have a lot of similarities in that belief. So thank you for sharing that. Help us understand at a view from a most basic level, getting started on your spiritual journey. How does authenticity fit into that, and how does that really how does that help you accelerate?
Well, in my particular case, you know, they say what you teach is what you need to learn. And I've been learning myself since I started out on the route with my parents following their instructions. So part of my lesson with helping other people is to remind parents to let their children be themselves, to let them be them. And in my experience also, I directed preschool programs in my first career. In my second career, I worked with adults who were or wanted to be speakers. And what I found out is that, you know, there's so much in between the childhood and the adult. So when the adult comes and speaks, they speak about their childhood pains. They speak about their evolution. They speak about their growth. They speak about helping other people not go through the same crap. Because, you know, one philosophy is that our whole purpose of being here on planet Earth is to grow, because the energies here seem to always be in conflict. No matter what happens, there's always conflict. You might find some internal peace for a short term, but eventually the conflict comes back. And our part of our journey is to learn how to manage the conflict, because there's conflict around us everywhere. You turn the TV on, you hear conflict, you see conflict. So part of the journey is to be peaceful in spite of the difficulties, in spite of the stress, in spite of the things you cannot control, in spite of the crazies that are out there and seem to be getting crazier and undefinable. In spite of all of that, you still are able to evolve and survive and grow as your spirit needs to grow. So, you know, there's a lot of nuances in that. You know, you care, but you can't care too much. When you care too much, you hurt yourself. So, and if you don't care at all, you're still hurting yourself. So there's a lot of little balancing that we have to do in our spiritual journey. And we can't go off on the deep end and be totally spiritual. And then we don't go off on the deep end and be totally material either. So, because then you're not spiritual at all. So it's the balance of that is the constant journey that I think is part of our evolution and part of our spiritual journey.
That was incredibly well stated. Thank you for sharing it that way. It's so true. And for each of us, we're on our own journey, and finding our own way is definitely part of that. But having some help along the way is also very beneficial. I love to have the reference, of course, that we like to fill the toolbox, and discovering what things help you to express your authenticity are one of the things I talk about quite a bit,
Right.
whether that's through self-expression of writing or speaking or art or photography or just communicating with people in a general sense. But all those things come from experience. And for me, I recognize authenticity as speaking from that experience and being real about what that is for you. Do you find that that's similar in your field?
Well, absolutely. Being real all the time is the name of the game. To be real, though, you got to first be real with yourself, because the person that we often fool the most is ourself. So that's what I do. I help peel away the masks and the onions, the onion layers that we have acquired over time. You know, we come into the world so pure in our preschool years, just doing whatever spirit wants us to do. And if spirit says sing, we sing. If spirit says talk, we talk. And then our parents say, don't sing so loud, don't talk so much. And we start not being so authentic. And then we get into school, and rather than the freedom to be ourselves there, we have to stand in line and raise our hands and stay in our seats, which are all required. But over the time, we forget that the freedom that we really have, and we've lost it to being to the cubicles and the chairs and the lines and all of that. So bringing people back to that, bringing them what I call their authentic life path. What I do is I help people get on their authentic life path, which is about being the person you were born to be. Because I have this belief that all of us, we talk about purpose, all of us were born to fulfill something in what I call God's jigsaw puzzle. So if we all would accept our place, our role, our gifts and talents, and what they are, what they lead us to do, we would just have a more peaceful, spiritual, evolving life. So that's what I'm committed to helping people to do and understand.
I love all of those pieces there, and that's a lot of great information. And the philosophy is so simple, but like you said, it can be about shaking the paradigms and shaking the programming that we've allowed ourselves to accept. One of the things that I know that you've developed that I'd love for you to share is your authenticity assessment. It's a tool that I know you've been working on for quite some time, and it's accessible to everybody. So could you tell us more about what went into that and what it actually is?
Well, you know, there's two different assessments, and this call we're doing is at an interesting time, Jason, because the one I think that you took is now changed, because we changed it just 2 days ago. And so the original authenticity assessment is a simple 9 questions that I give to people, and people can take that online if they go to howauthenticami.com. That's a paid video where you take the assessment. But the complimentary one is now called Finding Your Authentic Life Path, because what's really important is authenticity is about positioning yourself in the world where you belong. We often get, just like at 28, when I found myself being married to and doing work that was not aligned with who I am, I had to make a shift. I had to figure out who I was first. So being on your authentic life path, being authentic, is being on the life path that was designed for you. So when you go to authenticity assessment, you'll see the question of, are you on your authentic life path? And when you take this complimentary assessment, you get a chance to examine whether you are looking to get past some transitions. And by transitions, I mean people who are generally 16 to 30, just starting out in life and not quite sure what path to take. And especially when you're younger and your parents say, do this with your life. And you're saying, no, I want to do this. And they're saying, no, do this. And you're saying, no, I want to do this. So by taking the assessment and reading the article that's attached to that, you'll get some insight that will help you get past that. And it's also for people who are generally 40s and 50s. You've been working long enough to know that it's not what you thought it was going to be. The kids are growing and going to college. The relationship is getting maybe stale, and you're wondering what's next in your life. And that's another transition. You're looking for where you really belong, or you're retiring and looking for that. Or maybe you're looking for someone that has a calling or just want personal development, but the assessment will help you with all of those areas and then give you other information that will take you deeper. So I encourage people to go to authenticityassessment.com and take the Authentic Life Path Assessment and then begin to examine if you're really doing what it is you're supposed to do that really gives you joy and makes you happy and allows your spirit to evolve.
That's a fabulous tool, and I love the versatility.
Yes.
That makes it very, very powerful, and it allows for people to really understand what they're answering. As I was taking the test, I felt myself reaching deeper already. So just getting past the surface. So the questions really do give you pause and allow you to think about it a little bit. and I already had awareness, and I haven't even read the whole thing yet. So I was really pleased with that part of it. So as you said, they can go to AuthenticSpeakingU.com. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, yes.
Okay. And then you also said findingyourathenticlifepath.com.
Well, that is the Find Your Authentic Life Path assessment.
Okay, gotcha. I wanted to make sure we're sending it out there. Is there any other places that people can connect with you, Norma, that you would like to share with them?
Well, certainly. I'm on Facebook at Norma T. Hollis, so feel free to reach out there. And also, coaching@normahollis.com is my email address. And going through the Life Path assessment complimentary leads you to having a complimentary one-on-one with me. So if you'd like to talk a little more about your spiritual evolution, your growth and development, your calling, your confusion. I have a lot of history from a spiritual perspective. I'm also a spiritual director and do a number of different things from a spiritual woo-wee perspective sometimes, but also I help make spirituality practical so you understand it in a deeper way. So take the assessment, follow the path, and you will get some opportunities that says, have a one-on-one with Norma. It's a 20-minute complimentary one-on-one. And that's what I really look for. I live for meeting people who are on a spiritual path and want to get on there deeper and seeing how I can help them make that happen.
I, for one, am going to sign up for that 20 minutes. Let me tell you, that's an amazing offer. And it really shows your passion and commitment to the people that are discovering that you're either at the beginning or in the middle or stalled out someplace or even just want some validation and deeper focus. So thank you for providing such a wonderful offer, not just to our listeners here and our viewers here, but to anybody that makes their way to that authenticityassessment.com. I will absolutely share these links in the comments, and I will post them at the end as well in a graphic so that people can take an opportunity to write those down if need be. Norma, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time today to help some folks get some more tools in their toolbox and for providing them a pathway to get more information. That's an invaluable resource when experts will really take the time to connect with people right where they're at. And that's a beautiful philosophy that you share.
Yeah, well, it's been my pleasure to do it. And yes, it is my passion. It's my spiritual evolution. It's my journey. It's my purpose. It's my authenticity. So I would not receive the joy that I have in life if I did not share what I was sent here to share. So it's my pleasure to do that. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for being on the Spiritual Handyman Internet TV show. And folks will be reaching out to you to learn more.
And I thank you, and I'm looking forward to talking to them. And when you connect, you should let me know that you found me from Jason's show. Thank you.